it's Zelenka here with another video. Excuse my voice, I'm still ill. Unfortunately, I'm a small creator and I don't get the tag before it's released, so I don't really have time to make a review before, so this is what we got, but I still hope this is somehow going to be helpful to you. Which brings me to the fact that if you're gonna like this video, please help my channel grow by liking and subscribing so that I can pursue my tech reviewing dream. Without further ado, let's get started. Today we're gonna be talking about a newly released M4 iPad Pro. I have the 13-inch version and I also have the 2022 version to compare with. This is also basically 13-inch. 12.9, but I guess they're the same. I want to make this video as user-oriented as possible because by this time you've probably already seen the tech specs, you've probably already seen some tech reviews. So I want to give you my point of view. I want to show you what you're gonna notice when you buy the 2024 version. If it's worth it for you to see whether the 2022 or the 2024 is an option for you. So the first major thing you're gonna notice is the weight. And yeah, it's just around 100 grams, but this is significant. This is a significant feeling you get in your hand when holding the 2024 version. It is significantly lighter. Another thing, it is significantly thinner. I already thought I was gonna break the 2022 version because it was already so thin for a 13-inch, but this is even thinner at just 5.1 millimeters for both the 11 and 13-inch versions. By the way, the 2022 version of iPads is 6 millimeters thick. So I would definitely put a case on this. Is it a good thing though? Yes, it is amazing when you're reading the news or something, you're sitting on the couch and you have the iPad lying on your legs or something. You don't even feel the weight of it, which is perfect. You only feel having a screen just sitting on you. Amazing. Also, when talking about the design, we see the shift from the vertical camera orientation to horizontal orientation, which is nice for video calls and everything, but when you are used to using the iPad vertically, which I am mostly, when I'm browsing, I only use it horizontally when I'm editing videos and such. So that's when you notice that when you want to install an app from the App Store and you have the Face ID to scan your face to allow you to install the app, I caught myself just looking at the camera at the top, which isn't there. And then I was like, oh, the camera is not there. I actually have to look to the side. It's not such a big issue because it is able to see your face, but it's just a thing to notice when you're getting this iPad. I just caught myself looking onto the top and yeah, and just finding out that there's no camera there. And when we're talking about the thinness of the new iPad, there is one issue I have with it being so thin. It is significantly thinner than the Apple Pencil. So what ends up happening is that it keeps sliding off. It simply goes to the back of the iPad. You know, it slides back or to the front, but it's not sitting on the side. So it is getting on my nerves. But if you have a case, I got a clear case here, which I just snapped on it because there are not many cases available now, it is still thinner than the Apple Pencil. Just something to keep in mind. Next difference you're gonna notice straight away is the display, because now finally on iPad Pros, not on iPad Airs, we're getting an OLED screen. We've had OLED displays for so long, yet we never had them in iPads. This was the first selling point for me. This was one of the basically 2 to 3 reasons why I wanted an upgrade and why an OLED screen is such a significant upgrade. You're gonna see this in a video I'm going to play right now, where I play a video of stars on both of the iPads at the exact same time. You can see I click on the video at the exact time, it goes through the video and it ends at the same time. And I'm telling you, you won't believe that this is the same video. And why? Because the 2022 version of the iPad has a mini LED display. What this basically means that you are still backlighting the display and you have LEDs there, but you have dimming zones. So you aren't able to turn off each individual pixel, but you're turning off zones. And since they are zones, when you should display like a black background and you turn it off, you can't display a star there. So what ends up happening when you have a bunch of mini stars spread out, they end up disappearing. And OLED displays are able to control each individual pixel, so you're able to turn it off and turn it on whenever you like, however you like, meaning that you have this perfect contrast. Like you can have a white pixel and then a black pixel near it. So you're able to show all these stars and it just looks fabulous. And it feels like you're not missing out information. And also you get the perfect black since you're not backlighting the display, but you're able to turn it completely off. And it's not creating this like blooming effect, like when you light up a star, then that it's not like spreading across the zone, so you don't get this like halo effect around the star. And obviously the colors are just way better and they're just amazing. And if you compare the two displays, it's so hard to see on camera. If you see this in real life, it's incredible. And there's like no way you should be getting an iPad without OLED if you like color. Which brings me to the nano textured glass you can get in an iPad. I don't know anyone around me who would like benefit from a nano textured glass. I don't think you should get it if you want to enjoy the OLED display, because when you put a nano textured glass on top of the OLED panel, you're basically like graying out the display. So you're not getting the contrast, you're not getting the color. And Apple called this OLED panel tandem OLED. So what they basically did is that they layered two OLED panels on top of each other so that they can get a bigger brightness, because usually OLED displays struggle with brightness, whereas it's easier to achieve this on mini LED since you're backlighting it. So this iPad is able to go up to 1000 nits, whereas the previous model was able to get to around 600 nits. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that the previous version was not a good display. It was a great display, but I'm just saying that it's not an OLED. And when you know, you know. So if like displays don't matter to you, go get the 2022, or better, don't. OLEDs are common for burn-in, and I already had a Samsung flagship which caused my keyboard to be burnt in because I left it on for a longer period of time. This should not happen, but you should be cautious anyway. I mean, there are like pixel shifting methods. So you shift what should be lit up by a position which is noticeable by your eyes, so that you're not like turning on the same pixels all the time when you have like a static image showing, so when you leave your display on for longer periods of time. So I'd say just don't do it. Just always turn off your display when you're not using it. And as a lot of you already know, it comes with an M4 chip. So they basically skipped the generation of M3 and they're coming with the first product ever featuring an M4 chip. I'm gonna blend you in the stats, but what was noticeable for me is that it wasn't overheating, which was a major issue with my old iPad because I really do edit videos on there. And the issue was that whenever I was editing a video, it was overheating and I just couldn't hold it. It was so hot. And I already tried editing a video on this new iPad and it didn't happen so far. So far so good, and it solved my second problem, like my second issue why I was considering buying the 2024 model. But basically the CPU should be 1.5 times faster, and for the rendering performance you should get up to 4 times faster performance compared to the M2. What I was a little bit mad about is that I have the 256 version. The reason why is because of money, of course, because the other versions are just too expensive, and I also am paying for iCloud. Getting a 1 terabyte version of something just wasn't feasible for me. But what I was so sad about is that if you are gonna get the 1 or 2 terabyte versions, you are getting 16 gigabytes of RAM instead of 8. But obviously at Apple you have to pay for everything. Now let's get to the camera. I'm asking you who actually uses cameras on iPads, because I've honestly saw just a few Asian tourists taking pictures with their iPads, and I don't know why. The wide-angle camera from the 2022 version is simply gone, and there is no wide-angle camera anymore. Sad story, but I don't really care. Like probably the only time I'm using a camera on an iPad is when I'm transferring data from one iPad to the other, and I have to scan this circle with those stars to copy my data from one iPad to the other. One interesting feature is the adaptive true tone flash they have introduced, when you're like taking photos of your documents, you won't have any shadows in it, so that is great. I can't really say a lot about the battery life because I didn't see stats for the battery, but I can tell you that it lasts longer than my other iPad, and the reason why probably is that it is really not overheating. It's like more efficient with the resources it has. So performance wise, you should get the new iPad if you are doing tasks like me, for example, where you're rendering videos and so on. But the iPad got thinner with a better, more efficient chip, so I've seen people saying that it should last around the same time. Before we get to the Apple Pencil Pro, which I also have here, I want to quickly just sum up what we have learned. So it's thinner, it's lighter, so design-wise, it's an upgrade you should consider. Second of all, you get an OLED display, which is a significant upgrade, as you could have seen in the video I played you, so definitely this is another selling point. And the third point for me was the new chip. Since my iPad no longer overheats, at least for now, so these were the 3 points why I was considering this iPad, and thankfully it delivered. Now let's get to the Apple Pencils. So I already had the second generation of the Apple Pencil with my 2022 version, and I now have my Pencil Pro. Why I bought a Pencil Pro when I already had the second generation? They introduced haptic feedback, and haptic feedback is something perfect when you're doing anything with these pencils, because when you're tapping the pencil, you don't know if it got your tap, or you don't know if you tapped it correctly, because there is one flat size where it is accepting your touches, but when you turn it to the side, it doesn't accept the touches, obviously. So sometimes I'm holding the pencil and I'm holding it like a little bit like sideways, so I tap it wrong and it doesn't get my feedback. So the haptic feedback is just perfect to know when you basically clicked. It's not giving you the haptic feedback when you touch the display, but when you're trying to undo something. And now you can squeeze it, which is a perfect function. It also gives you the haptic feedback, and it basically brings up a toolbar, which is customizable per app, so you always have something different the app designers want you to have at your side. So for example, when you're drawing, you can change the brushes, etc. So it gives you so much more versatility with the pencil. And for example, when you're editing videos, you can just like squeeze it and undo things. So it's just perfect. It's quick. You don't have to search for buttons. And you can also map it to shortcuts so that it can perform the actions you want. Design-wise, not much has changed besides adding the Pro word. And there was some signs on the back that you should not throw it into the trash, etc. And that is now in a similar color to the pencil, so it doesn't stand out that much, so it looks much better and just minimalistic, as you can barely see the writing there. And there is a gyroscope in the pencil, so you can basically like turn it, like barrel roll it, and then it like rolls what you're gonna draw, and you also see it, so it's just a nice addition so that you can like angle your writing or your drawing. And it is now also visible on Find My, so if you ever lose your pencil, then you can find it. And at first when I was watching the event, I was like, who loses their pencil? Like, it's basically attached to your iPad magnetically, like how can you lose it? I now know how you can lose it, because I've lost it in my blanket. And why? Because iPad is so thin that it sometimes like falls to the side or falls off completely. It's not such a big issue, so that's not like why you shouldn't buy it. Okay, I don't want to make this video too long, so these were my points. I hope this was somehow helpful. It can help you decide whether this is worth it or not worth it, basically worth your money or not worth your money. Thanks a lot for watching. If you think my content is valuable, I would be so happy if you would like or subscribe to my channel so that it helps me make videos, and maybe I will get products sooner before they're released so that I don't have to film while being ill and having almost no voice. Thanks again for watching this video, and I hope to see you next time. Bye!